you know the name Edward Hicks? I didn't, at least not until last week. In case you don't know, Hicks was an American folk painter and devoted Quaker minister. He didn't try to become famous. He painted mostly to support his family, yet he became known almost entirely for one reoccurring image, the Peaceable Kingdom, a visual meditation on Isaiah 11, 1 through 10. That's our focus text this week. Here's the fascinating part. Hicks painted at least 62 versions of the Peaceable Kingdom over his lifetime. Think of them as a visual journal. The paintings look simple, bright colors, bold shapes, almost childlike, but the theology and social commentary underneath them are anything but simple. I mean, how could they be? Isaiah imagines a peace so deep that it brings together things that should never coexist. Our focus text today comes from Isaiah chapter 11, verses 1 through 10. Isaiah writes, "A shoot shall come out from the stump of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots. The Spirit of the Lord shall rest on him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and the fear of the Lord. His delight shall be in the fear of the Lord. He shall not judge by what his eyes see or decide by what his ears hear, but with righteousness he shall judge for the poor and decide with equity for the oppressed of the earth. He shall strike the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips he shall kill the wicked. Righteousness shall be the belt around his waist, and faithfulness the belt around his loins. The wolf shall live with the lamb. The leopard shall lie down with the kid. The calf and the lion will feed together, and a little child shall lead them. The cow and the bear shall graze. Their young shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw like the ox. The nursing child shall play over the hole of the asp, and the weaned child shall put its hand on the adder's den. They will not hurt or destroy on my holy mountain, for the earth will be full of the knowledge of the Lord as the waters cover the sea." Hicks created one of the most enduring expressions of Isaiah 11 in American art. And the repetition itself is part of the message. Peace isn't a one and done event. It's a lifelong pursuit, constantly being reimagined. So give me a couple minutes to break down the passage that captivated him for decades. Isaiah 11 comes from what's called First Isaiah. That is the first 39 chapters of the book connected to the 8th century prophet Isaiah of Jerusalem. Now, he lived during a turbulent time when the small kingdom of Judah, the southern kingdom of Israel, was caught between warring superpowers. People were anxious. Leaders were inconsistent, and justice was in short supply. Isaiah's message mixed warning, like, we're seriously off course here, people, with fierce hope. God is not done with us yet. Isaiah chapter 11 is a vision of God's future breaking into the present crisis. First Isaiah often operates with a blunt honesty about how bad things are, but it never stops pointing toward a surprising hope. God can raise new life out of old ruins, and God's way of justice will ultimately reshape the world. This chapter is one of its clearest windows into that hope, a promise of leadership and peace far beyond what Judah could imagine in its own political mess. That's the context. So, why should you care about this ancient poem that we read? Why do I care about this? Well, a couple of weeks ago, as part of Bethlehem's confirmation service for our high school students, I mentioned that faith cannot stay static, that it needs to grow and mature with you as you get older. Because if it doesn't, one morning you might wake up, look at the world through your adult eyes and see the joys, the problems, the complexities of everything around you, and realize that your childhood understanding of faith no longer speaks to your life in a way that adds genuine value. Boy, that has been true of me. One of the things I had to let go of in order to even have a faith life as an adult was the idea that religion, spirituality, is mainly about knowing the right things about God, as if faith were just an intellectual test with a reward for correct answers. What I've come to see instead is a story of divine love moving to put a broken world back together, and an invitation to participate in that vision of hope and new life. And what would that look like? Well, the biblical authors have many, many images of this. Isaiah imagines a world where predators and prey coexist, where children play safely beside what once was dangerous. It's a world where incompatible things come together, not by being all made the same, but as Isaiah says, because the earth will be full of the knowledge of the Lord. Anyone who reads these words should react the same way. That is, this is utter nonsense. I mean, it's crazy. This does not describe the world we currently live in. However, it is the world that I want to live in. It is the world that God desires to bring about. This image is peaceful, merciful, justice-oriented, and hopeful. And I don't know about you, but I believe it's very hard to live well without a sense of hope. I think this is why Hicks kept painting this image over and over and over again, because we need to be reminded of hope whenever we have the chance. The biblical story is a story of hope that at first just seems crazy, but then grows to bring life out of struggle. So let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. So we have to go back, well, almost 10 years now. So 2 months after I started here at Bethlehem, I went with a group of high school students to Belize as part of Bethlehem Senior High Service and Learning Ministry. It's the ministry where we work alongside of churches and organizations making a positive impact in their community while learning about their culture, their story, and how God is present and at work in their lives. So in that ministry context, in service and learning ministry, you learn to expect the unexpected and to go with the flow, because let me tell you, there will always be something that you did not expect or prepare for. So 2 months into this new job that I had here, halfway through our week-long partnership on our service and learning trip with 20 high school students serving in a different country, a tropical storm developed, became a Category 2 hurricane, and made landfall right where we were. Yeah, that was unpleasant. Long story short, we were fine, and to my knowledge, there were no fatalities in the community, in the area. But what little infrastructure and resources the community we were serving with had, they were destroyed. After we made sure our group was safe, I went to talk with members of the community, and what surprised me the most was their hope. They had no insurance, very limited resources. They suffered a devastating loss, and still, hope? Really? I mean, they had faith that people and their church and others, the larger community, would come together, that new life could still happen. Let me be clear with you, they were not okay. You can't be okay after that kind of loss, but they had hope that there was a future where they would be okay. Human flourishing depends on hope. And here's the thing, you don't have to be okay to have hope. You can be struggling, angry, grieving, lonely. You can feel disappointed at your life, your family, your community, your country, your world. You can feel overwhelmed and still have hope. The people of Judah, whom Isaiah addresses in our focus text, are not okay. Things were bad and getting worse in their lives, but Isaiah invites them into hope by showing them a reality that was not yet there. So I've been thinking, a lot about hope and how it works in our faith and in our lives. And here's where I've landed. Hope is not certainty. If something is certain, it is not hope, just by definition. Hope is not the same thing as happiness. And hope isn't always rational. Sometimes it's illogical, it can feel nonsensical, and yes, hope can be lost for a time. Someone asked me before how I keep faith and hope, especially during tough times in life, because I think the person who was asking that was going through a really tough time. And the honest answer to that question is that I don't always keep my faith and hope. I don't know anyone who can. But here's the thing, the Christian faith community is one that holds on to hope for me when I can't. So I'm going to ask you this question. I asked this in our message preview, and I ask this to you now. Do you think it matters that you are part of the community here at Bethlehem or not? Do you think that matters? If you think that gathering at Bethlehem and participating in our ministries virtually, in person, however you do that, is only about yourself and what you get out of your time together, I have to stop you and I have to correct you. When I can't hold on to hope, you hold it for me. And when you can't, the community holds it for you. That's why your presence here matters. We don't gather only for ourselves. We gather because we carry each other's hope, each other's faith when life becomes too much. Christian hope is lived in community. It clings to the conviction that divine love ultimately overcomes everything that keeps us from embracing and experiencing God's love. And that love, that promise of love, it moves us forward in life, caring when it feels pointless, feeding those that we can, even when there will always be hungry people in this world, and seeing the possibility of God's kingdom emerging even when everything points in the opposite direction. Having this kind of hope is one of the most countercultural things that we do. Advent, season of Advent, is a time of hopeful waiting, of holding on to the image of Isaiah, the wolf and the lamb, the calf and the lion, the child and the snake existing together, not by being made the same, but by being transformed by the agape love of God. So, I want to end by sharing my own creative rewording of the final part of Isaiah 11. It's my attempt to place this ancient hope in today's world. Let me know what you think. The Peaceable Kingdom. The protester and the police officer will walk the same street in peace, setting down their fear like heavy shields. The rival nations will share a table, and a child, small, unarmed, unafraid, will teach them what courage really is. The billionaire and the single parent will rest in the same shade, neither envying nor resenting each other, each knowing they belong. The predator instincts of the world, greed, power, ego, will lose their appetite, feeding instead on gentleness, like it's the only thing that satisfies. The child will wander into places once marked danger, the alley, the internet, the broken system, and no harm will wait there for them. Hands once used for violence, pressure, or control will be instruments of blessing, as natural as breathing. They will not hurt or destroy on my holy mountain, for the earth will be full of the knowledge of the Lord, as the waters cover the sea. This is the good news that we hear today. Thanks be to God for that. Amen. As a way of taking this message deeper and applying it more directly to your life, here are a couple of reflection questions. I invite you to pause the video and either talk about them with a partner, journal about them at a later time, or simply pray about them. But here's reflection question number 1. Where have you witnessed small signs of hope? however fragile, in your own life or community recently. I mean, even tiny sparks matter. They're often places where God's future whispers into the present. Where have you seen something like that? And here's question number 2. What assumptions, fears, or old stories about the world or yourself might be keeping you from imagining the peaceable kingdom God longs for? And our challenge question for this week, because it's not just enough to think about the story of our faith, we want you to practice it. So this week, what is one concrete act, big or small, that you can take that aligns you with God's work of hope? That could be repairing something broken, encouraging someone who's discouraged, or embodying peace where conflict usually wins. So just pick one thing and do it intentionally, and let it be your brushstroke in the peaceable kingdom Hicks kept painting.